Can you believe that Mark Carney and the Liberals actually followed through on one of their campaign promises? What campaign promise that is? It's the one that has first-time homebuyers rejoicing. The actual rule change that I'm talking about is the elimination of GST for first-time homebuyers on new development properties on up to $1.5 million. Obviously, like always, there are catches in this, and in this video, I'm going to break down what you need to do to qualify, obviously who qualifies and who doesn't, what the different terms are, and more importantly, what this means going forward for the real estate market. All right, let's dig into it. First and foremost, to qualify for this program, let's get the simple stuff out of the way. You must be 18 years old. It must be a brand new development property. It must be either something that you built with a builder, a co-op housing, or something that's brand new as a development. The property can be up to $1.5 million, but there's a catch. It's only exempt for the first $1 million completely, which means if you purchase a property at $1 million, normally you'd pay $50,000 of GST. Well, now that's going to be exempt, which means if it's $1 million, it's $1 million, which is welcome news for any first-time home buyers. What else you need to know is that if the purchase price is from $1 to $1.5 million, there's actually a sliding scale. If you purchase a property at $1.25 million, for example, then 50% of the GST is exempt. And that continues all the way up to 1.5, where there are no exemptions. But let's be honest, how many first-time home buyers are buying brand new properties up to $1.5 million? Not very many. Now, if you bought a pre-sale before May 27th of 2025 and you're a first-time home buyer, unfortunately, the government is saying you're out of luck. Unless you're within the 7-day rescission period, which is your time that you can back out of the contract, the reality is the government is not honoring GST rebates for anybody who entered into a contract before May 27th of 2025. No word as to whether or not they're going to back up on that particular policy and change that, but at this time, it doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Typically, it takes a long time for the government to make rules, and I can't see them actually reversing this one. So unfortunately, if you bought a property in the past, it's a pre-sale, and it was before May 27th, you have to pay the entire GST on that property. Unless you qualify for the old redemption rebate, which is for any property under $450,000, there is a GST exemption that is still in place. So the dates that you need to know about are May 27th, 2025 until May of 2031, which basically means that if you buy a pre-sale property and it's set to complete before May of 2031 and the contract is after May 27, 2025, then you qualify for the 100% GST rebate. Now, the big question for a lot of people out there is, was this the right move, and will it have any positive impact on the housing market, and does it really help first-time home buyers? Let's break it down. First and foremost, does it help first-time home buyers? Yeah. I mean, quite frankly, if a first-time home buyer was electing to buy a pre-sale property and they can save $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in GST, that's a benefit. It helps people get into the marketplace at a lower price. On the flip side to that, pre-sale properties typically come at a higher price premium when compared to resales. So it doesn't necessarily help them get into the market more. It just helps them buy a brand new property at a better price overall with less GST. Now, for all of those people out there saying that what is really going to happen is that developers are just going to simply increase their prices to counteract this, they might not be wrong. In some areas where those properties are selling or they're desirable, you might see developers maybe eliminate some of the incentives that they were providing or slightly increase the prices. I think that will probably happen here is you'll just see them take away some of the incentives that were in place and then push a lot of attention to the no GST consideration, which means in the end, it actually is more expensive for any first-time buyer to buy a pre-sale property and potentially anyone else, because the developers are going to be doing this not just for first-time buyers, but for all buyers if they take away any of these additional rebates that they sometimes promise. Does this stimulate more building? Well, they're definitely trying. Last year in December, the government mandated that if you were even not a first-time buyer and you were doing a CMHC less than 20% down loan, you could do a 30-year amortization as long as it was a pre-sale property. Now, on top of that, pre-sale properties get the benefit of no more GST. So it certainly seems like they're trying very hard to stimulate new developments by increasing certain incentives. The truth is, though, I don't think I've ever seen a single non-first-time homebuyer take a 30-year amortization on a CMHC loan on a pre-built property. So the chances of this having a major notable impact are pretty slim, to say the least. Now, what does this mean for the housing market going forward? Well, any news is good news when it's good news in the real estate market. It definitely will probably create some level of excitement and interest for first-time buyers, even if it's temporary. Is it going to mean real estate prices are going to pop off and things are going to fly off the shelves? Nope. There's way too many listings out there right now for the market to really blow up, and I don't think it puts any upward pressure on real estate prices. Really, the big question right now is this going to incentivize developers to do what they need to do, which is develop? Because recently, they're not doing any of it. In fact, they're backing out and completely holding off on their developments as the land costs have been too high and the development costs have been too extreme. Truth is, the government needs to step in and make some serious changes, and those changes would include removing the DCCs or development costs to help developers get shovels in the ground. But in the end, if you're a first-time buyer, you want a pre-sale property, you can rejoice because this is a win for you. Listen, if you found this helpful or interesting, go ahead and click the thumbs up, subscribe for the next one.